Well, hello Internet! Welcome to Art's Art. My name is Art. Let's do some art today, shall we? I'm going to be making... I don't know what to call it. The last sculpture was a little bit serious, so I want to do something a little bit silly this time. And it's going to be a pretty complex build, I think, so let's just jump right into it. So the other day I saw an illustration by an artist named Carlin Lim, and it's a really cool illustration of this wizard type character who seems to be summoning these like phantom octopus tentacles to help him do whatever it is that he does. And it got me thinking about what happened when somebody tried doing that for the first time, and like what things could possibly go wrong. Because like when we look at these types of characters, right, they tend to be quite fully formed already. We look at them at a state where they know what they're doing, but I thought it might be interesting to explore what happened when somebody who doesn't know what they're doing try to mess with forces that they shouldn't be messing with. I'm not sure what exactly this is going to be like yet. I don't have a very precise idea in mind, but you know, that's kind of how this channel is. A lot of it is just me discovering what's in my mind. Okay, so here we are. Here's our cast of characters. These three are gonna attempt to summon an extra-dimensional tentacle beast to, I don't know, for research, for nefarious purposes, or for fun and profit. Who knows? And something is gonna go horribly wrong. That's what we're doing today. Okay, so let's get posing these guys and feel out how the scene is going to be. Now, what I'm trying to capture with this sculpture is a sense of chaos, right? I want this to feel out of control. I want these guys to look like they don't know what they're doing, and I want them to look like they're in danger, all three of them. Yeah, okay, tentacles out of the hand, looks nice. It makes a nice line between her and the guy being flung through the air. Okay, now what to do with this guy? This guy is going to be like, oh no, he's gonna just run away. I just can't not do an ambitious sculpt. I'm looking at this and thinking like, how on earth am I actually gonna put this together? It's hard to show this on screen, but I actually quite like this. The easier answer would be to have the tentacles come out of the ground. It certainly would be easier to build, but I think it's more interesting this way. I don't know, like, should I try the ground version? I don't like it as much. Even though it's more obvious that's like, oh, the creature is coming from the summoning circle or whatever, it feels less clear, the relationship between all three of them. When she was the one doing the active summoning, it felt more like she was the leader of the group. And I know this is all very like vague and blobby right now. These are all just like outlines and whatnot. You just kind of have to play along with me in terms of like, I have this in my head. It just feels less interesting. But anyway, so I'm glad I checked it out because now I know for sure that this is not the way to go. So we're just gonna put it back. It might be a little harder to read, but at least in my mind, the story is clearer. I like it more, and you know, like it's my skull. Like, it sounds a little bit like arrogant maybe, but it's my sculpture, and the number one person that has to like it is me. So when I was imagining the sculpture, what I saw in my mind was like a diagonal line between a summoner and a person being flung through the air. Okay, and in order for me to have that, I can't have visible support. Like, I can't have a vertical post holding up the guy being flung through the air, because that's just gonna mess with like the visual flow of the sculpture. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to build some weight-bearing tentacles out of steel wires and reinforce it with some epoxy putty to sort of like give it some stiffness, because steel has some flex to it. I've never done anything like this before. Hopefully this is all gonna pan out, because I kinda don't have a plan B. Okay, so here's where we're at. We've got an armature mostly built. I'm really happy with this guy up here. This sort of the whole objective of this setup is to make this guy be able to be flung around by this tentacle without any visible vertical support. So I'm pretty happy with that. I am regretting making such a complicated sculpture a little bit because I've been working on this for a couple of days now and I feel like I've hardly done any sculpting at all. You know, I've just built 3 forms and I've spent the rest of the time messing with this steel wire nonsense. I really need to switch over to doing the characters sooner rather than later because I'm kind of losing my motivation right now. As cool as all this is, the important thing is the characters doing the activity, right? So let's get working on these characters, shall we? The point of this step, for me anyway, is not to get it looking great or even good. I just need some information about these characters. Like, I need to know more about them than just, you know, vaguely human-shaped blobs. So I'm just trying to give them some costumes or just some whatever to tell me a little more about them so I can try to figure out what's going on in this scene. So in this case, I think I want to do Victorian times, basically doing a Lovecraft-inspired piece because I mean, well, because why not, right? In some ways, this is a little bit easier in terms of character design because I can just put them in Victorian clothing and I don't have to design like a whole universe around like, okay, if this is a wizard from a completely made up fantasy scenario, then I would have to really think about like what kind of costuming and prop work is gonna be used by these characters. But in this case, I can just basically say that they're like, okay, they're Victorian cultists or whatever, or occult enthusiasts, shall we say. This has been a really weird sculpt for me so far because even though I've put in so many hours on it already, it feels like nothing's happened yet. You know, I mean, look at it. It's still really blobby and really like nothing is well defined, and so I'm just having to really like convince myself that this is all okay because basically I'm making like 4 sculptures in one. But all that complaining aside, I do think I have to go back and work on this girl. She just feels kind of like she's just standing there compared to these guys. So let me mess with her pose. Cause like she's just like alakazam, and then monster comes up, and then you know it's like, oh my god, what's happening? And it's not exciting. It's not that dynamic. I want her to be more like, yeah, you know, like look at how crazy these guys are in terms of where their position is. Like this guy is like, and this guy is like, and she's only like, so I want her to be like equally as terrified from a body language point of view. Now, I say I'm gonna work on her pose, but I don't even actually like the word pose because it sort of implies that the character is getting into a position and just staying there. I think that for me, what is more helpful is to think of what action the character is doing. You know, what is she doing and what is being done to her or whatever, right? Even if a character is just standing there, she could be waiting for someone, she could be looking for something, she could be doing all kinds of things. So I think it's more helpful for me to think about things in that way. Anyway, I just say all that to sort of describe what's actually going through my mind when I say the word pose, because again, I think the word pose doesn't really capture what I'm trying to accomplish here. As for the summoner lady herself, I think I'm gonna go for someone a little bit older, certainly older than the mock-up that I did before. I think it might be cool to go for something like a school headmaster look. You know, somebody who's at least visually seems like she could be an expert in the art of summoning extra-dimensional tentacle monsters. I'm also giving her slightly larger eyes than I normally would give a character of this size. Hopefully this is going to help illustrate the wide-eyed terror look that she's hopefully gonna have. Now the next challenge for me is gonna be sculpting the guy who's getting flung through the air, because I think it's just hard to tell if something looks right when it's upside down. So I gotta take a minute here to figure this out. First thing I need to do is get rid of this block right here so I can actually work on this thing. How do I hold this up? Like basically like this. Because I need to constantly be checking how the sculpt is doing overall. What if I do... Okay. Took a little bit of thinking, but this is gonna work, I think. So now we're entering the refinement stages of these characters. I like the action, I like the overall broad design. So we could spend some time now to get a little bit more definition into them. For the flying dude, I'm gonna make him a little bit older. I actually kind of imagine this guy as like the financier of the group. Like, so the lady is the expert, right? Like, she is the self-proclaimed occult expert, and this old guy is like the guy who's paying for everything, and the tall, thin guy is like the assistant. That's kind of the story that I have in my head. So I'm gonna give him, oh, I don't know, a comb over. That seems kind of fun. And obviously the long coat gives you a nice like sense of motion because he's the one flying through the air. Overall, I quite like how this one is turning out for almost like a glorified prop. He actually has quite a lot of personality to him, so I'm digging this quite a lot. And for the running guy, believe it or not, I have in mind the great author Neil Gaiman's face. I don't know why, but I just feel like doing somebody with like a longer face and kind of a prominent nose. I think he has a really interesting look, so I'm just gonna try to do that with him. As for his body refinement, you know, it's just really straightforward. He's wearing pants and a vest and a shirt. These pieces of clothing are nice and body hugging, so we can really see the motion in his action, but also has some nice fun folds and wrinkles to play with. But the challenge isn't with these two. The challenge for me still is with the summoner lady. Her pose still doesn't look right. So before we get to refining her properly, we're gonna have to really figure out her situation because I'm just not happy with the way she looks right now. You know, she's been problematic this whole time. My problem still is with this pose. I still don't think it's quite as strong as it could be. We're in the zone though, like we're not that far off, but it's not there, and I know it's not there yet. That's very, very annoying. Let me think about this. Let me go take a break, get some food or something, and I'll come back. It might be the wrong leg. What I mean is, it might be that her leg that's flying up is the wrong one. It might have to be this one instead. Because normally opposite arm, opposite leg, right? Like kind of like left leg up, right arm up kind of thing. But maybe it's the wrong one. It's the wrong one. It's the wrong one. Ah, man. The moment I moved it, I knew it. Oh, I even have an option. It doesn't even have to be her arm getting yanked back anymore. With her other leg up like this, it could be this tentacle instead. This was actually my original intended tentacle for this leg anyway. Wow. Okay, well, that's a lot. That's a lot I have to do to make this work. But I do like this pose a lot better now. It looks way more out of control than it did before, and it actually looks good from the side too. Look at this, there's so much to fix. Like, this entire thing is completely broken. Wow, that's annoying. That's very annoying to know that that's... Oh, man. Okay. If you're wondering why I'm so upset at finding the right solution for this sculpture, first, obviously I have to redo her legs again for the third time to make this work. But more than that, I'm really annoyed that I did not see this solution sooner. I just don't know what I was thinking. I'm really, really annoyed that I did not realize that it was so simple as to just lift the other leg. Anyway. At least we can make some progress and do some real refinement on this character, finally. And from here on out, it's basically that, just more refinement on each of the characters. I'm now gonna clean up the surfaces, tighten up all the lines, add little accessories like buttons and shoelaces and whatever, and that's that. There's not that much more to talk about because you've already seen these characters and most of the decisions have already been made insofar as character designs go. So I think I'm just gonna hunker down and get to work and please enjoy this royalty-free music while I work, and I'll see you again when there's something to say. Okay, and I think that is our summoner lady. Oh my goodness, this has been a lot of work. I have no idea why I thought that a 3-character plus 1 monster sculpture with a complicated structural build would take any longer than an eternity to do. But here we are, and it does. Sounds so obvious when you say it now. Didn't seem obvious at the time. Anyway, now I've got to work on the tentacle monster, and that's it. I'm not going to put a whole lot of detail down. At first, I thought I was gonna do a bunch of octopus suckers or even hooks the way giant squids have hooks on their tentacles, but there's no way I'm gonna spend a whole week trying to put little suckers all over this thing. Like, it just seems impossible. This is already looking like it's gonna take another couple of days to finish. At the time of this recording, it's already been 2 months since I published the last video, and it is immensely frustrating to me that it has taken this long. Okay. I did 1 tentacle, and it looks alright, but I'm exhausted just looking at the rest of them. That was so much work just to get the 1. Like, it took an hour to do that 1. There's a part of me, a not insignificant part of me, that just wants to say, like, it and just let it go, you know, kind of shitty looking. It's just, I can't. I just can't. I wish I could. I wish I was the sort of person who's willing to let this go and say, you know what, you've spent a month on this already and it's time to move on. But also, another part of me is just like, no, but it could be better. I'm so demoralized right now. Maybe I just need a break. I just need to take a break and get some food and come back with some energy, because, like, it's not that bad. Surely there's a way to get through this. Goodness. So I guess there's nothing to do but to grit my teeth and get to work. When I first chose this muscly, sinewy design, I had no idea how difficult this was gonna be. And it's not like each one of them is particularly difficult to do, like they're not that bad physically. But the problem is that each one of these is unique and have no reference in nature. They're just these bundles of muscles with these little veiny things and these little divots all over them. And they're completely irregular, as in, like, I can't just follow a pattern over and over again, each one of them really require me to like fully engage. And it's like, you know what it's like? It's actually like doing not just one sculpture of a tentacle monster. It's like doing a dozen sculptures, each one being a tentacle. Like, that's what this feels like. But here's the thing. Even now, when I realize this is actually way harder than doing octopus tentacles or even giant squid hooks, I think this design is better. I think this is the one that makes this feels like an otherworldly monster. This one makes it feel truly bizarre and terrifying, you know? So, I don't know, I guess I want what I want, and I think this is the right thing for the sculpture, and I just gotta do it this way. I can't help it. Okay, I believe that is all the tentacles, or at least enough of them that I want to stop here and test how the whole thing is gonna look together. Whew, this is quite nerve-wracking because I haven't seen, you know, there's a stage in every sculpture, or at least the way I do them, in which you have to complete each part separately, and you don't really see what they're gonna look like until you're done working on, you know, the parts. Okay. This is a big moment for me. God damn it. Yeah. This is a thing. This is definitely a thing. Oh, this sculpture has taken so much effort. It's been just a marathon, and to see it come together like this is just, man. Oh man. Oh, it works, it works, it really works. It works. Okay, as frustrating as this whole piece has been, I'm really happy with the final result. Like, I was never sure if this was gonna be worth the effort. It's not the most meaningful piece of art in the world. In the end, it is just a silly idea. But yeah, this is a good one. I'm pretty proud of this one, I have to say. So anyway, that's it. From here on out, I just have a little bit of cleanup to do on this guy and a bunch of this, that, and the other. So I'm gonna do the rest of that stuff. I'll run the rest of the footage in time lapse, and I'll see you after the epic final reveal. So here we are. Once again, it's been quite the journey. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. If you want to take a look at some pictures of the sculpt, feel free to check it out on Instagram at @archongart. But for now, that's been it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.